Here we go. So today, guys, I'm going to do an experiment to show you how the game has changed over the last few weeks to the point where tiers are completely meaningless. Now, they can mean a lot as long as you're smart with how you approach this. But if you approach this in a way where you're blinded by tiers and you think Galaxy Opal's Dark Matters are going to be the best cards in the game all the time, you could end up losing a drastic amount of MT. And when we get to the end of this video, you'll really see what I'm talking about once this experiment is complete. Before we get into today's video, guys, please like and subscribe if you're new. We're really close to 1,000 subs. If you drop a sub now, we'll be that much closer. We run a podcast on this channel as well every weekend where we have the biggest names in the MyTeam community joining us. We had Jay Canada on last week where he spoke about his success, how we got to 200k followers, his partnership with 2K, and a whole host of other MyTeam related things. And we've got a huge guest on again this weekend, arguably the biggest name in the community. So drop a sub, get the notifications on so you can catch that podcast as soon as it drops. Now into today's video. Basically what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take 10 players that are not Galaxy Opals and I'm going to take 10 players that are Galaxy Opals and compare those squads in a few different areas. I'm going to compare them in terms of stats, badges, both gold and Hall of Fame badges. I'm going to compare them in terms of height and I'm going to compare them in terms of wingspan. And we're going to see where we get to and how relevant tiers are right now, because the assumption at this point should be that that Galaxy Opal team should blow a bunch of pink diamonds and diamonds out of the water when it comes to stats and badges. But we'll find out. At this point, I don't know how this experiment's going to go, but cards like Bowl, as you can see on the screen, are making me start to think we have hit that point in the year, as we did last year, where it's really about looking at a card instead of this number at the top left corner of the card. You can see very clearly with this Bowl, here's a 98 offense and 98 defense. Those are 98 splits, which makes him a 98 overall. But the card is a 95 overall. That's the reality. Now, there is talk about, when you play My League and things like that and you play a switch, that, at power forward, he probably would be a 99 overall, but because they moved him to center, he becomes a 95. And I think that probably is the case. He's got 7'2" height, he's got 7'7" wingspan, he's basically got every badge on Hall of Fame that you need. Showtime on gold could do with a bit of an upgrade, but he's a 92 3-point shot, he's got an 89 speed with ball. He is, in many ways, the perfect card. He's got Pro 2, he's got Pro 3 behind the back, and his jump shot is absolute money. Just again, 98 splits, 7'2" height, 7'7" wingspan, 32 Hall of Fame badges and 31 gold badges, which is pretty much every badge in the game. This card is without question a top 10 card in the game, but it is a 95 overall. Now I'm going to move on and do a quick comparison. This Alex Caruso came out this week in the same set as that Bowl, that Warped Reality set. He is a 96 overall, he's a pink diamond. At this stage in the game, you would think pink diamonds would be very outdated. We've already had a bunch of Galaxy Opals and now we're getting more and more Dark Matters each week. So you would think on paper that Galaxy Opal Steph Curry at a 98 overall should blow this Alex Caruso out the water. Here's the problem. There's not really an area, apart from questionably Steph Curry's jump shot, where Steph beats Caruso. If you look at their stat split at the bottom here, you can see Alex Caruso has 140 more when it comes to stats. In terms of badges, he's got more Hall of Fame badges, and he's got more important badges. Obviously, Steph Curry's got range, as you would expect, but so does Caruso. If you look at the defensive badges, you can see Caruso's got Clamps, Heart Crusher, Intimidator, he's got Pick Dodger, he's got Pogo, he's got Tireless Defender, all on Hall of Fame, where Steph Curry doesn't. And then most importantly, you can see here that Alex Caruso has Hoff Showtime, where Steph Curry doesn't have it. Not only that, you've got 6'5" versus 6'3". You've got a 6'6" wingspan versus 6'3". Alex Caruso, very simply put, is just a way better card than this Steph Curry. And right now, if I had to choose between the two, I'm picking Caruso 10 out of 10 times. So that brings me on to my experiment. And a lot of seasoned players, a lot of veterans at this game will know this stuff already. But I think all of us still get a little bit blinded by tiers. So I think as much as this might help experienced players a little bit, it will help new players a lot. So I've put players in here that new players are likely to pick up. New players are likely to look at a Steph Curry card or a Tracy McGrady card or a Michael Jordan, a Paul George, a Shaq, a KD. And I've tried to mix it up to be fair, so I haven't just picked underpowered opals. You can see we've got a good combination of shooting with players like Steph Curry, T-Mac, KD. We've got great defense with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Paul George. We've got really good height and wingspans with players like Shaq and Anthony Davis. I've kind of tried to be as balanced as I can so this doesn't become a forced experiment. So this is the opal squad I've gone for. This is a decent opal squad in the game right now. It's not the most OP team you could get right now. There's obviously dark matters, and when I do this comparison, it's important to bear in mind, when you get like a dark matter Ben Simmons, there isn't a card that you're not going to pick up a diamond that's going to compete with that card. It just doesn't exist. But in terms of Galaxy Opals, I think this is a really balanced squad. So now let's have a look at the team that we're going to put that Galaxy Opal squad up against. Now that Galaxy Opal squad is OP. T-Mac's in there, Jordan's in there, Steph's in there. There's some really, really good Galaxy Opals in that team. This squad has 5 pink diamonds and 5 diamonds off the bench. That's the comparison we're going to make. There's Caruso, Kyle Korver, Bol, Eddie Curry, Justice Winslow. They all came out in the most recent packs. And this is what I'm talking about. It's been a recent thing where tiers are becoming less and less relevant. This Hakeem Warwick was an Idols card. Sabonis came from Moments. Tyrese came from a flashback. Jeff Green came from a flashback. And LaMelo came from the recent out of position packs. But this is the squad we're going to put up against them. So again, we're going to look at things like height, wingspan, badges, stats. We're going to try and cover as much as we can and just come to a conclusion. And the one thing we're going to probably measure the most, my prediction at this point, is the Galaxy Opal team, this one here, is probably going to beat the other team in most areas. I think the big difference is going to be how much do they beat them by and what is the difference in MT. So I've taken some time to work all of this out now. The results did not go the way I expected them to. I want to tell you what I predicted and then what the reality was. I was certain that this team would beat out this team in terms of stats. Purely because of the overalls, I thought stats was the one place that the Galaxy Opal team would just win out. When I say that this team beat the other team by 30 in stats, that pretty much means that they're dead level. When it comes to stats, they're almost identical. If you want to give a team an edge, you're giving this team an edge because they did get 30 more stats overall. An average of 3 per player. That's not a game changer. That's not a huge difference between the two. But genuinely, I'm shocked that this team didn't come in way behind this team. So now let's talk about Hall of Fame badges. And again, it's a huge surprise. Now, I knew this team could be competitive with HOF badges. I thought they would come in just shy of the other team, that it would be relatively close. Again, the weaker team, which is this team, beat the other team by 20 Hall of Fame badges. That means they averaged 2 more HOF badges per player. And in terms of gold badges, they also averaged more gold badges. 17 more gold badges total, 1.7 gold badges on average. So that means each of these players is averaging 2 Hall of Fame badges and 1.5 gold badges per player over this team. So now let's get into height. And this is the one I was really, really confident that this team would win out on. T-Mac's really led the KD, AD, Shaq, Paul George 6'9". Pippen is a huge small forward as well. I really thought this team would win out in height over this team. You know, Tyrese is small, you know, Caruso isn't huge. But when you put players like Bol, Sabonis, and Eddie Curry in, the end result is they had 12 inches overall over the other team. So on average, they were 1.2 inches taller per player than this team. So even on height, they've got them beat. So finally, in terms of wingspan, it was a -6 difference in favour of this team. So 6 inches leaning towards this team, which means 0.6, half an inch basically wingspan difference. This team beat this team. That's not really worth noting. Half an inch wingspan is not going to change anything in the game, really. You might get 1 extra steal every few games. I think that's the only difference. So overall, the shocker is that this team won out. Apart from wingspan, they really did dominate or compete in every single area. And I think if we're being objective here, it's pretty close. When it comes to stats, it was close. When it comes to height, it was close, but an inch per player does make a difference. When it comes to wingspan, it was close, but not really a difference maker. Gold badges, not hugely relevant. The biggest difference for me was the 2 HOF badges per player on top. That really is a big difference, especially when you look at the HOF badges. Because these players have pretty much unanimously got the key HOF badges in the game. Whereas these players, a lot of them just simply don't. So now the big question that you really want answered. With these teams being so close and with an edge going to this team, you would think at this point, this team is going to cost way more than this team. Or at the very least, it's going to be competitive. Here's the reality. This team costs 182,000 MT. That's about 18,000 MT per player on average. Now let's take a look at this team. This team currently costs 1,155,000 MT. Just to put it in perspective, that's 973,000 MT difference, nearly a million MT, nearly 100,000 MT per player. And the reality is, if you understand the game, you're picking up this team. And two players at a similar skill level, this team is going to beat this team every single time. So I proposed an experiment today to say that, you know what, tiers don't really matter anymore. And we got to that point last year. The experiment went way better than I thought it would. I didn't realise that this team would dominate in so many areas. But when it comes to the MT, it just becomes a dead conversation. There is no scenario where you should be looking to pick up any of these players over these players. And the biggest example I can give you is Bol was nearly 100k out of this entire team. He was about 50% of the total cost of this team. And even he is cheaper than Paul George in the same position, who is a significantly worse card at this point. So that's the video, guys. We are at a time where tiers are meaningless. Look at cards differently to the way you did a couple of months ago, and you will save millions of MT, and you will have more success. You'll pick up better cards, and you'll have more fun on the game. That's the video for today, guys. Tomorrow we're going to have a look at RNG, and we're going to have a bit of fun with it. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching, guys.